Hello. Thank you for watching game day video. Yesterday where I'm from, well, not where I'm from, where I currently live, which is actually out in the United States right now, although I'm formerly from the UK. It was a very gloomy day. It was kind of a typical terrible weather Sunday. It was rainy, it was dark, it was foggy. And I think that kind of sums up our week, to be honest with you. Starting off a really poor result against Watford. That was a tough game to watch, really. I feel like we played a little. I think we actually played better in the second half. Even though we lost the second half 3-1, I felt like we played better in the second half than we did in the first half. That's not to say that we played well in any shape or form, because we really didn't. But I think we had much more the ball, and I was expecting with 10 men. Didn't attack with didn't create enough chances though, and didn't create with any attack with any tempo or urgency, which is something that I've come accustomed to this season. Even last season to a point. And I think we had the Fabregas chance. Hazard was incredible, fantastic finish. He was a step above the rest, to be honest. I think in that game, you can envision or see why. You could see Hazard leaving it in the summer, but when you watch that sort of game, because he really was a step above the rest. It was Watford versus Hazard, one of them versus Chelsea at times. He was a step above any other player we had on the pitch. He was by far country mile our best player. They get the equaliser and then make mistakes, man. Okay, so we're supposed to 4 at the back, and we said, okay, you got 3 at the back, 4 at the back, 6 at the back, 8 at the back. If you make individual errors and don't do your job, you're going to concede goals. The first one was a combination of Cahill and Dave. So their second goal was a combination of Cahill and Azpilicueta. Their third goal was absolutely pathetic. Approach him. Gary Cahill, approach him. Tackle him. Approach him. Don't just let him run and score. Awful. Absolutely awful. Gary Cahill, you're terrible. You've had your day. You're still a solid enough player, and you were pretty decent a few years ago. Not so long back. Had your day being in the starting lineup now. Go and take your place on the bench, because frankly, you're awful. Yeah, awful. That's the 4th goal was a good finish, but again, if you want to be critical, we got you've got to block the angle there. Block the angle of the shot. And there you go. Now it was over a week, and there's a lot of talk of it was awful result, and it's not been a great week. And there was talk of Antonio Conte, should he go, should he stay, and all this stuff. And to be honest, I think that end of the day, the board have to take majority of the responsibility. They have to. I'm not a huge fan of Antonio Conte, as I've mentioned I think in previous videos, but the board have to take majority of the responsibility. What would it mean for Sanchez last month? Why? Why didn't we get Vidal in the summer? Why didn't we get Sanchez? Why would we even in conversation with Sanchez last month? Why didn't we get Vidal or Bayusini, the former Juventus centre back, in? Why? Either one of them. We didn't get them in the summer. End of the day, plain and simple. If you don't sign world-class players, you cannot expect to compete for the top trophies. If you want to win trophies or compete for trophies, you have to sign world-class players. Not players that have had 1 or 2 good seasons and maybe potentially be world-class one day. In a few years' time, Bakayoko and Rudiger, at this time is looking very unlikely. That's without even mentioning top-flight mediocre players like Danny Drinkwater and Ross Barkley. Although I do think locked inside there, deep somewhere, is a pretty good player inside Ross Barkley. Whether we get to see that player though is a different matter. You know, and it's just, you know, I don't understand. Simple fact is, right? Simple fact is, you cannot build your team around potential, and you know, I say potential because this is Bakayoko and Rudiger. You cannot build your team around potential world-class players that have had one or two good seasons and mediocre players. Otherwise, if you're not careful, you'll end up with a very mediocre team with a, you know, sprinkle of quality around them. Plain and simple. You know, and I'm sure Bakayoko and Rudiger were on Antonio Conte's list. But I'm pretty sure that they would be, you know, second, third, fourth choices. You know, so the board have to step it up. Simple as that. You know, otherwise, if we're not careful, we'll end up with a very mediocre team. We will end up like Arsenal. What is the point in moving into this new stadium that, you know, we're personally going to build and you know, at Stamford Bridge and the extent, you know, 60,000 or so, if we're just going to have no trophies? Having said that, I think Antonio Conte has to take some of the blame. Well, I think, you know, as was the case last season, particularly against some of the top six sides, there's no plan B. There is never any plan B. There's plan A, that's it. We don't attack with anywhere near enough urgency, we don't attack with any sort of tempo, we don't attack with anywhere near enough urgency, we can't adapt to in-game situations. You know, we attack with the same way, with the same sort of tempo and urgency, which is none. We attack the same way as we do whether we're 2-0 up or 2-0 down. You know, it's too slow, not enough tempo, not enough urgency. We attack the same way. It's the same old. You know, it's ball through the middle. Let's play it through the middle. Hold it up through the middle. Let's play it through the middle. Let's, you know, Eden Hazard out wide, cuts back, or over the top of Hazard. It's the same. Three scenarios the way we attack. It's frustrating to watch. And it's the same. Like, you know, when we right, if you want to attack the boyfriend, but you've got to adapt to in-game situations. Like if we're 2-0 down, get the ball out wide, get bodies in the box, get balls in the box. We don't get anywhere near, and I've been saying this for a while, and I even said this last season, you know, when Antonio Conte, you know, won the league for us, basically. We don't get anywhere near enough crosses in the box. We don't. And when we do, there's nobody in the box anyway. Like, it's just that there was a moment against Bournemouth where the ball was in the 6-yard box, but we were behind. Great ball across the 6-yard box. Nobody was there. We had one player in the box. Nobody was gambling. Fabregas, Bakayoko. Okay, I think Bournemouth didn't have a reckon or strike on the pitch. Not the point. So, you know, we don't get anywhere near enough crosses in the box. We don't get enough bodies in the box. Period. Like, even when we do get crosses in the box, there's not enough players in the box. Full stop. And I said, if we don't attack with any tempo or any urgency, and I think, you know, we're too defensive. Like, for example, a couple of times actually, like there's a game against Norwich where the replay we were winning 1-0. Zappa Costa had the ball, chance on the counter attack, and there was a full 10 minutes, 15 minutes left at this point. You know, rather than passing the ball into the space, going for the second goal, he checked back, passed the ball back, and eventually went all the way back to the goalkeeper. You know, and obviously Norwich, you know, made us pay in his Norwich time. But regardless of if they scored or not, it's not the point. Against Arsenal, in the first leg of the League Cup, I don't know if anybody noticed this. But as soon as I'm sure we did. But as soon as we scored, Hazard scored, we went 1-0 up. We immediately dropped deeper, and even had 10 men behind the ball, which you could argue is what led to Arsenal's very quick equaliser. Immediately, as soon as you went 1-0 up, dropped so much deeper, and actually even had 10 men behind the ball. Like, Oh no, attack. And then immediately drop deep, like so early in the game. And that's kind of his way. I think we're too defensive. And when we attack, we don't attack with anywhere near enough tempo, nowhere near enough urgency. Don't get anywhere near enough crosses in the box. Need bodies in the box. Get the crosses and get bodies in the box. Ball out wide, crosses in, especially when you're behind. Simple. I'm not a huge fan of his philosophy, really, of his way of football. I think there's a reason, to be honest. I mean, people can say it's becoming whether one, but there's a reason why there aren't many Italian managers in the Premier League. I'm sure someone's watching this is going to scream, "What about Di Matteo? Won the Champions League and the FA Cup." Yeah, obviously there are exceptions, and I think Di Matteo galvanised at that time a group of players that weren't performing well and done exceptional, and was really harshly sacked the season after. But as a generalisation, there's a reason why there's not many Italians in the Premier League. So yeah, I think the second has to take, is a certain part of the responsibility. Listen, to be fair, I'm going to try and even this out as best I can and say good things about Conte. His idea to switch to a 3-4-3 last season is basically what led us to the Premier League title. Is what led us to the league title in such an emphatic way as well. After 10th place season before, could basically other teams couldn't come up with or deliver a tactical plan that was good enough to stop us. Basically, in that formation, and he did a good job last season. I think it was a great. He had this idea and he delivered it incredibly. Also, I think his passion, his hard work, and his desire and willingness to win is absolutely incredible. Absolutely incredible. I think it's never been in question for me, and never will be in question. Also, to be fair, although I don't agree with some of his some aspects, a lot of aspects you could say, to his style of football, to his philosophies. At the end of the day, he's obviously coming up with what he believes is the best way, the best philosophy to put us in the best position to win football matches and ultimately be successful. Obviously, you can tell he wants to be successful. So yeah, I think ultimately the board have to take majority of the responsibility. Absolutely, as I pointed out. But I think Conte has to take his own share, and I wouldn't have been disappointed, to be honest, that disappointed if he got the sack. Although I don't think we played terribly against Watford. I think it was defensive mistakes that lost it. Because if we'd have done our job defensively, we'd have gone on to win that game, because they were cracking up, they were panicking, they were all over the shop before the equaliser. The equaliser goes in, we do our job defensively, we switch on. Like how many times, you're most vulnerable after you just scored a goal. Just switch on, do your job, adapt, do your job defensively. Each man do his job. If we defend, or each individual does their correct defensive job, we go on to win that game. Even though, frankly, we played pretty average, to be kind, in that game. We'd have gone on to win it 3 points. And as much as I'm not a fan of Antonio Conte, you can say, he switches to back four, and then we, can see if it was his fault. I'd say, I don't care if you've got a back three, back four, back seven. When you've got individual errors and individual players not doing their job, a manager cannot take responsibility for that. If a player makes incredible mistakes, like Gary Cahill, what the hell is he doing for that? approach him, tackle him. It's not rocket science. You don't let the guy just run and put it in the net. Pathetic defending. Like, you know, for their second goal, kind of, you know, what was he? You could see his job. He didn't do it. Him and a combination. To be fair, it was him because he wasn't upset in the first place. You know, as Azpilicueta was actually let the play get in front of him when he was the one, you know, he was behind, and combination. But again, our players did the right job. We probably ended up winning that game as awfully as we played. Again, offensively, we looked a little. Well, honestly, I think the first half we let them get in behind us far too often. So you know, it was poor. So I think, honestly, though, you know, I wouldn't have been disappointed if he was sacked. I think he's been. I don't agree with, as I say, with certain things, but to be honest with you, and it comes down to this: whoever the manager is, will be irrelevant unless the board steps up in the next transfer window. Simple as that. You know, it's we have to step up. The board have to step up and do better. You know, sign. I think the one thing I did agree with Antonio Conte with is he says, you know, we need 3 or 4 more. If you look at this team, 3 or 4 world-class players, along with the potential world-class players that we got, not bad players, I think we'll be benefited by those 3 or 4 world-class players. It's kind of what we need, like, you know, more, you know, spend more, or certainly as much, but bring in less. You know, hopefully the ball will step up in the summer. So yeah, I mean, so the kind of bad week continued, and then Thibaut Courtois comes out and says that his heart is in Madrid. Why has to feel the need to go out and say something like that now? You know, which is already going to be a bad week anyway. Like, I see where the guy's coming from. His kids live there, of course, absolutely. But the whole timing of that comment was a bit bizarre to me. I think it would be a huge loss. I think, you know, if he does go in the summer, I think you could argue the fact that he would be a bigger loss than Hazard, because, you know, of his position. Like, how many? Well, first question: how many world-class goalkeepers are out there? Full stop. That are anywhere near his level. Secondly, how many world-class goalkeepers out there could we go around and realistically buy anywhere near his level? The answer to the first question is not many. The answer to the second question is none. You know, obviously there's Navas. Real Madrid are actually obviously going to replace. He's a solid enough goalkeeper. I'd say he's just about world class. On anywhere near Thibaut's level, no. You obviously got Peter Cech. You know, listen, fantastic player for what he done for Chelsea. Won us the Champions League, and you know, when he played for us, he was one of the best goalkeepers in the world without a shadow of a doubt. You know, now at this moment in time, I'm not sure that's the case. So then you're scouting around. I mean, so you got Buffon, who's obviously, you know, going to be retiring soon. If anyone that I can really think of is anywhere near Thibaut Courtois' level at this point is Neuer from Bayern Munich. And obviously Bayern Munich aren't going to sell the number 1 goalkeeper. The top teams, if you've got, you know, world-class goalkeeper, you're not going to sell your goalkeeper for any kind of, you know, any kind of figure of money unless he really wants to go. You know, with Hazard, if Hazard was to go, you know, I want him to go, but if we were to get like 160, 180 million for him, plus, you know, play a spot with Ronaldo, which I have heard that could be the case. And okay, Ronaldo is definitely not the player that he was. Was he like 32, 33, but you would still class him as world class player. He could still do a job in the Premier League. He could still do a job for us. He scored a hat-trick in his last games. You know, plus the 160, 180 million. Hopefully, if that got reinvested into the team, you know, sign a couple of world-class players or whatever, plus Ronaldo's in there. That's not the worst deal in the world. Listen, I don't want Hazard to go. I think, you know, when Hazard is, you know, in general, by far our best player. And when Hazard is on it, he's an absolute joy to watch. But I just think 100, we get that money, 160, 180 million plus Ronaldo player swap, if that's the case, we can go out, and we can buy Isoko. We can go out and we can buy Gareth Bale. We can buy Bale and Isoko. We can go again for another top centre back. We can go again for Vidal even. Going again. Listen, I don't want Hazard to stay. I actually want Hazard to go, and I think it's worrying, this Thibaut Courtois situation, because if he goes, and Hazard maybe then is thinking, well, if he goes, the ambition of the club is, and then the money's moved in, the chance to not only be in the Champions League but a real chance to win the Champions League in Real Madrid. I think and what happens then if both of those players go in the summer, then we turn into a selling club. We then turn it into Arsenal. And that would give, I think, then it would give, agents and clubs around the world that Chelsea's players have all got a price. They're for sale. But I know every player has his price. I accept that. But it would send out, a message to clubs and agents around the world that we are a team that sells our best players, basically. So it would give out a terrible message. I mean, forgetting about, the loss on the pitch. The loss on the pitch is a given. We'll be losing 2 world-class players, again, given. But the message that would give to the rest of the footballing world would then, to me, we would be. I never really, since Roman Abramovich has taken over at Chelsea, I don't think we've been a selling club. He's been like, same with Costa. He's like, well, I'm in no rush to get rid of Costa. We're not really been, I think, but if this is a habit, if we don't indeed keep either one of those players in the summer, we are, without doubt, then going to be classed as a selling club. And I said that would give such obviously a really bad message from my point of view, from Chelsea fans' point of view. Said to agents and clubs around the world that we're a team that sells best players. So also for that reason, I think it's vital that we basically give as much money, whatever Hazard wants, we give him. Whatever Thibaut wants, we give him. If Hazard wants 250 grand a week, we give him 250 grand a week. And before people say, oh, football's gone crazy, that kind of money, it is what it is. Like, nobody is talking about how in the NFL, how those players are completely up. They're on so much more money. Like, there's a quarterback plays for the 49ers. It's on like $27.5 million a year. They don't get paid that much. The top world-class football players, especially in the Premier League. So if Hazard wants to, there you could argue, like, is he really Messi's, Neymar's kind of level? Right now, I think you'd say no, because he's too inconsistent. I know it's going to sound crazy, but just hear me out a second, he's too inconsistent with his performances. Some games he'll be like, he will do everything perfect but the finish. He'll do everything perfect but the final ball. And magic to watch, but couldn't quite finish. Magic to watch, couldn't quite get that final ball right. Sometimes beautiful ball, sometimes beautiful finish, but the really world class players finish 99% of the time. The really world class players will, get an assist or a goal in certain situations. But I think, having said that, if he was playing for a team like Real Madrid with the right players around him, he would absolutely make that step up. So I think even with Chelsea, is he going to be on Ronaldo and Messi's and Neymar's level, potentially. I think he's not far off that from now, and surrounded by, to be honest, a group of players that are right now very, very, very average. So yeah, I think it's absolutely vital that we keep at least one of those two players in the summer, if not both, for reasons on and off the pitch. To be honest. So there we go, and now here we are. We arrived to today, Monday, game day. First of all, a massive game for lots of different reasons. But first of all, some shocking news has come out recently. Morata has declared himself fit for this game, which is frankly fantastic news. Fantastic news. What's been not the best week. I've seen a lot of people on Twitter and YouTube and Instagram saying, "Oh, should he start? Should put him in the start." I mean, I think his last game that he started was against Leicester in the league in the 0-0. Awful game that was. But that was about 4.5 weeks ago. So it was not a tremendous amount of time since he started his last game. So if he's fit, by all means. Playing for 60-65 minutes and then brings you on, by all means. If he is fit, I'm sure he can get through 60-65 minutes. But considering that he hasn't started any type of game for over 4 weeks, considering what Antonio Conte is like with his kind of cautious outlook on that kind of thing, I think Giroud will probably start. And if that's the case, I've been right on for the last 25-30 minutes. Hopefully, he can get a goal. Then start him, on Friday against Hull to get some match minutes and match fitness, and obviously again ahead of the Barcelona game. I mean, that would be, the way to go. I think Morata is the player that we see. The player we see in the start of the season, I think, is a true indication of the sort of player Morata is. I think he needs. I think what's happened with Morata, a couple of things is. He starts to lose a little bit of confidence, and I think when he's done that, he's kind of gone back to what he knows, which is more of a La Liga type of player. Like against Norwich, I mean, it was never a second yellow, it was never a dive, the arm was around the shoulder, it was never a penalty. And he went down way too easy. But in that kind of scenario, if you're playing for Real Madrid, you potentially probably get a penalty for that. Especially playing in the Liga for Real Madrid. So I think he's still kind of adapting to the physicality of the Premier League. I think he was adapting to the physicality of the Premier League pretty successfully, and all of a sudden he won a few games without a goal, confidence started to drop. Hence he's kind of gone back now to the type of play he was before, kind of Chelsea, and kind of not quite physical enough for the Premier League. Also, he's never really been a player where used to being somebody's main striker. He's not used to playing week in, week out, and that's going to take its toll as well. Again, somebody should have figured that out in the summer, like the rest of us did. So I think that takes its toll as well. But I think hopefully Morata can come on, get a goal. That's what he needs a goal. And if it comes off your knee, your nose, your head, your right foot, your left foot, it doesn't matter. He needs a goal. Get his confidence up again, and then I think we'll see that player that we see on the side. It's going to take him a while. I think he needs to be more physical. He needs to have that desire, that will to get to that ball, to break his neck if it means that we're going to score a goal. That's the type of player that he's not right now. That's the type of player that he needs to be. Hopefully, as I said, he can grab a goal tonight, which by the way is a huge game. I'm going to move on to that now. It's a massive game, obviously, for so many different reasons. Well, one, if we win, we're in the top 4. Antonio Conte keeps his job. 2, the only option is 3 points. Absolute 3 points. Not even 1 point. 3 points. Anything other than 3 points, Antonio Conte gets sacked tomorrow morning, We've got a week to find an interim manager for the Barcelona game. And even though I'm not a huge fan of Antonio Conte, you don't want to be making a manager. You don't want to be sacking a manager a week before playing one of the best teams in the world. In a huge Champions League tie. It's not exactly best timing. So anything other than 3 points, Antonio Conte is going to be sacked. But if we win, hopefully we will. We'll win a nice 3, 4, 5, goal victory would be nice as well. Get the confidence back within the players. Back in the top 4. A point behind Liverpool, and then all of a sudden 3 behind United. We beat United, then we're level on points with Man United, and we could potentially, be third and, joint second, on points. And then, we could potentially, we could potentially finish runners up in the Premier League, win the FA Cup, and the Champions League, which would be, a pretty successful season, I think we would say, especially when Man City have been incredible in the Premier League this year, and I think to come second to that team is kind of no shame, and then kind of go again in the summer and try and catch them. But obviously I think rest on tonight. I think that will rest on tonight. I think tonight we'll learn and see a lot of things. We'll learn how strong their character is within this team. We will learn how much players buy into Conte and how much they want him around, because make no mistake about it, the players can take or leave it, or are not a huge fan, or don't want the manager around. You will see it in today's game. You'll absolutely see it. The players want him around, and they will put in performance, because simple as, if we play to the way we can play, anywhere near to the way we can play, we will beat West Brom at home. If we don't win this game, not only are we out of the top 4, not only will Conte 99.9% get sacked tomorrow morning, we're also out of the top 4, not 1 in 3, couldn't beat the team's bottom team at home, and then go away against the top 2 in the league. I think then you'd potentially be thinking that our place in the top 4 is absolutely potentially in jeopardy. You'd be then looking at 10 games to try and get yourselves back into that top 4. But I think if we win this game, I think if we lose this game, I think Roman Abramovich looks at it and thinks, we're not in the top 4. We haven't won in 3. Like I said, how we were meant to go in the next 2 games away against the top 2 in the league. Because the most important thing for Roman Abramovich is being in the Champions League. Absolutely. Which obviously you can't blame him. The money that's in it, the price that's available, and the second most important thing is the Champions League. So yeah, it's a huge game. It's one of them I'm excited about. I haven't played for a week, so I'm excited to see my team play. I'm hopeful that we can get a win. We have to deliver. We just have to win the next game, win the next 2 league games. We're on level points with Man United. And potentially third as well then, and level on points with Man United. We win today's game, we go above Tottenham, back into the top 4, 1 behind Liverpool, 3 behind United. And that in itself, we're looking okay. And obviously still in the Champions League. I watched somebody's YouTube video proving this game, and they said this now becomes the biggest game of the season, and I understand where they're coming from. This is the biggest game, because if we lose this game, the whole shape of our rest of the season is going to change. Conte will go, somebody new will come in, out of the top 4. Have to turn around very quickly with somebody's new, philosophies, new modules, new way of playing football against Manchester City, Manchester United, and Barcelona. It's going to be difficult. So however this game goes today, I think it's going to. If we win this game, Conte's probably got the job for the rest of the season. If we lose this, he's out, and then it's uncertainty for the rest of the season. I mean, to be fair, it's uncertainty with him in charge now, but even more uncertainty. It's a huge game. We win our next 2 with 11 points of Man United. That is incentive enough to get up that league. Not only 4th, because really, I don't want top 4. I want top 3, guaranteed in the group stages. Not have to go for a qualifier. And also, I'd like to, if we can't finish first, I'd like to finish second. You know, especially finish above Manchester United. It's just always nice. So it's a massive game for so many different reasons. And I'm going to do as I usually do, my 1 to 11 in this video. I'm going to get right into that right now. My 1 to 11. This is assuming that Andreas Christensen is fit to start. In goal, Cesar South, Thibaut Courtois. Back three, Cesar Azpilicueta, Andreas Christensen, and David Luiz would be my back three. If Christensen come in, I would not drop out David Luiz. I would drop out Gary Cahill. Luiz, to be fair, I mean, I'll have to see, you know, the Watford fourth goal again, because I can't. They're going to be honest, I can't really specifically remember his involvement. But I don't remember, since he's come back into the team, any goal that he as an individual has been a blame for. You can't say that about Gary Cahill. You know, I think he's made like one mistake that I remember since he's come back in the team. David Luiz should not come out of that team. Gary Cahill, which is an absolute awful player recently, has to come out on the bench, sit out on the bench. You know, David Luiz keeps his place. So that's my back three. Cesar Azpilicueta, Andreas Christensen, David Luiz. Wing backs on the right, Victor Moses. I wouldn't change it right now for the new guy to come in. And I wouldn't, you know, he's out the last game as well, so he's going to be fresher. So I put Marcos Alonso left wing back. I don't think he attacks as well or crosses as well as Zappacosta does, but he gets in the box and he attacks those balls. And also defensively, I think he's slightly stronger than Zappacosta. Two in the middle, obviously Bakayoko suspended. It can't, again, I think speaks for itself. Kante and Fabregas. Flanked by, I think there is Giroud up front, flanked by Eden Hazard and Willian. I think Willian coming off wasn't necessary. No, we didn't want to go to 10 men. Willian coming off wasn't necessarily a bad thing. He looked like he'd been rushed back a little too soon. Hopefully now he's had a week, you know, to train, and if we can actually train, hopefully he's more in better shape now. To start and to perform. Because he's been wearing you know, I think at the time of his injury, you know, in terms of the impact he was having on his games, I think, you know, he was our best player, and including Hazard in that as well. So yeah, massive game, looking forward to it, so many different reasons. It's a huge game. Thank you for watching this video and staying with it. I really appreciate it, thank you very much. And everybody that watches my videos and watched my last video, I'm glad you like them, and it's cool to watch, so it's very cool to do, and I'm glad you watched them. Yeah, huge game. That's my 1 to 11. My score prediction. It's hard to be confident the way we've been playing right now, but I think this is the time to deliver. You want Antonio Conte to stay. You want to get back into that top. There should be no incentive. The incentive is to get back in the top 4, and I think against the West Brom team, they'll be smashed away from home 4-0. Hazard, they couldn't cope with him that day. Foul after foul. If we can get a nice early goal, settle everything down, I think it could be a strong, hopefully good performance. I'm going to go with Chelsea 3, assuming no defensive mistakes. West Brom Germany 0. That's my score prediction. Chelsea 3, West Brom Germany 0. Hopefully we'll deliver that scoreline. Hopefully we'll deliver a good performance. Massive game as I said, for so many different reasons. Looking forward to it. So this is kind of the end of my game day video. Thank you for watching. Come on, you Blues!